The video, titled, Ukraine War is Enabled by India, US Gov's New Script Against India, released today, explores shifting narratives in international diplomacy and the alleged realignment of global power messaging. It puts forward a provocative premise, that the United States may be subtly crafting a narrative positioning India as complicit in enabling the Ukraine war, a narrative that reflects broader geopolitical strategies and changing allegiances in the global order. Against the pulsating backdrop of today's interconnected world, where media, politics, and public opinion exchange unrelenting energy, this discussion unfolds as part analysis, part speculation, and wholly grounded in geopolitical tension. The speaker, in a forceful tone aimed at capturing attention, frames the topic as more than mere commentary. It's an alarm bell about potential future shifts in international narratives that could redefine how India is perceived on the global stage. In every sentence, there's urgency. Phrases like, new script, enabled by, US government's role, drip with a rhetorical charge. The video doesn't merely present an argument, it calls for heightened awareness among its viewers, positioning India not as a passive observer but as an actor subject to scrutiny in global conflict narratives. Within that strategy, the speaker presents a layered argument about international alignment, historical memory, and the politics of storytelling. One underlying message suggests that geopolitical narratives are rarely neutral. They're tools wielded by great powers seeking to shape perceptions. The US, historically adept at framing global discourse, has in this framing turned its attention to India, not through overt confrontation but through narrative recalibration. The video asserts, perhaps controversially, that painting India as an enabler attempts to tilt global sentiment, especially among non-Western or developing nations where India holds considerable soft power and influence. To appreciate the full force of this argument, one must consider India's delicate balancing act across recent geopolitical events. India has long maintained a posture of strategic autonomy, avoiding entangling alliances while pursuing its own national interests, whether in trade, defense, or diplomatic forums like BRICS and the G20. That posture has made it neither fully aligned with Washington nor entirely resisting Western influence. In the context of the Ukraine war, where India has avoided direct condemnation of Russia and abstained from UN votes, the video suggests that such non-alignment is being reframed as implicit support for aggression. By drawing attention to global media frames, the video encourages viewers to recognize how subtle narrative shifts can bud disdain, concern, or suspicion, even without official accusations. India's several abstentions or neutrality, traditionally seen as diplomatic realism, might be recast in this script as tacit alliance, a transformation achieved not through force but through persuasion. The video argues that this makes the battle for narrative control as critical as conventional diplomacy. Digging deeper, the content raises questions about the power dynamics of global messaging. How do elite media, state institutions, and foreign policy machinery converge to produce a consensus, or at least a dominant storyline, about who is culpable, who is complicit, and who stands apart? The video gives implicit warning. India must cultivate its narrative tools with greater sophistication to resist being painted in shadows. Allied to these concerns is an underlying call to action. The video isn't just a commentary, it demands strategic reflection in Indian public discourse, media, and diplomacy. In effect, it's urging a recalibration, a stronger voice, clearer communication, and more adept storytelling to counter potentially harmful global narratives. It's a rallying cry, indicating that softly delivered narratives may be as consequential as hard power in today's geopolitical contests. From a rhetorical standpoint, the video leans heavily on speculation and provocative framing, designed to provoke discussion. That's its strength, it gets people talking. Yet, the strength is also its vulnerability, because without accompanying evidence of official US intent, the video risks veering into conspiracy-like territory, where interpretation overshadows substantiation. The balance between prompt and proof is delicate, and the success of such messaging hinges on credibility. Nonetheless, the strategic value isn't necessarily tied to factual correctness, it lies in how it compels discourse, how it causes audiences to question, to investigate, to refuse complaisance. In that sense, the video succeeds remarkably. It imitates, in microcosm, what larger narrative battles look like, an initial spark of controversy prompting broader investigation, reflection, and, hopefully, discourse rooted in evidence and analysis. As viewers, the invitation is clear. Scrutinize not only what is being said, but who is saying it, why, and how it might serve a broader agenda. Consume the content as a catalyst for deeper exploration into media framing, foreign policy narratives, and the role of emerging powers like India in the post-Cold War world. For Indian policymakers, the video's message is both cautionary and strategic. In an era where reputational capital translates into diplomatic reaches and trade corridors, the war of stories is an increasingly important front. India must not only engage in policy decisions but also shape the stories around those decisions, through think tanks, international media outreach, academic exchange, and public diplomacy. Without that, even neutrality can be spun as complicity. In conclusion, today's video, by spotlighting how global narratives can be redeployed, serves as a critical reminder. Global power isn't just about armies or economies, it's about stories, frames, and perception. If the US is indeed crafting a new underlying narrative, whether out of concern or calculation, then the strategic imperative for India is clear: be narrative conscious, engage robustly, and remain vigilant. Because in the age of information and influence, perception is often power, perhaps even more durable than any battlefield triumph.